Sri Yukteswar was born as Priyanath Karar in Serampur, West Bengal, and he was born to Kshetranath Karar and Kadambini. Priyanath lost his father when he was very young, maybe around 10, 12 years old. And his father, being a businessman, he took over the responsibility of running his father's business. Even as a very young boy, he had a very sharp intellect, and that quest for truth was there, deep within him. In 1884, Priyanath met Sri Lahiri Mahashaya, who became his guru. And it's Lahiri Mahashaya who initiated him into the path of Kriya Yoga. And he spent several years with Lahiri Mahashaya, who would keep going to him in Banaras. In 1894, he participated in the Kumbh Mela. And there he met a very beautiful holy saint who was actually no other than Mahavatar Babaji, who actually bestowed the title of Swami to him. And he also said that you are going to play a very key role of bringing harmony between the Orient and the Occident, meaning the ways of the East and the ways of the West. But there used to be a saying that West is West, East is East, the twain shall never meet. He says, no, you are going to bring that harmony between the East and West. And he also asked him to write a small book where this harmony, which is there between the beautiful sayings of Bible and the Vedas, he says, you bring about that in a book. Mahavatar Babaji also said that he would be sending a disciple in the form of Paramhams Yogananda, whom Yukteswar Giri can train, teach, and then he can send him to the US, where this practice of Kriya Yoga can be spread. Sri Yukteswar went on to complete this book and called it Kaivalya Darshanam, or the Holy Science. We'll just look into some of the aspects of what this book really says. In his introduction, Sri Yukteswar says, this book is basically to show the essential unity in all religions. Basically, the essence, the truth is the same. There is no difference inculcated in the truths by various faiths. It's not that Islam has a different truth, Hindu has a different truth, and Christianity has a different truth. Truth is same, irrespective of caste, creed, or religion. He also goes on to say that there is one method by which the world, both external and internal, has evolved. Externally, this universe, and internally, how we have evolved, it is same for everybody. There is no difference. And there is but one goal admitted by all the scriptures. Like, we're just going through this meditation. In that deep silence, where no thoughts are there, that's when the Rishi said, Aham Brahmasami. No, I am that. Or even Islam, they say, Anal Haq, means I am that. There is no There is no other, there is no you. We are all one. But that has to be an experience. So this book is basically in 4 sections. And the first part deals with the gospel. And this seeks to establish the fundamental truths of creation, both the evolution and the involution of the world. It is our evolution. That's what it means, involution. All creatures, from the highest to the lowest, are seeking bliss. Basically, existence, consciousness, bliss. This Sat Chit Anand. You see, we all are seeking for something. You know, you might seek happiness, you might seek, you want to be rich. Ultimately, you are seeking that bliss. Whatever you are, wherever you are, for whatever be your background, whatever be your conditioning. And third is the method of realizing the 3 purposes of this life. How do I attain to that level of Sat Chit Ananda? Revelation from those who have traveled far to realize the 3 ideals, and those who are very near to their destination. That means people who have already reached. What have they to say? And people who are close to that state of being, what are they saying? So it's a very small book, maybe a few hundred pages, not even 100 pages, a little over 100 pages. But it is so powerful, and in that he has brought in all this. And his inspiration was meeting Mahavatar Babaji. I would just go back to the earlier slide. That is Sri Yukteswar. His guru was Lahiri Mahashaya, whose guru? Mahavatar Babaji. And Yogananda, who is in the last, is the disciple of Sri Yukteswar. And it is said that Mahavatar Babaji may be about close to 2000 years old. There are many people who have met him. It is something which cannot be explained with a logical mind. But he has met people and he has transferred that knowledge of Kriya Yoga, that knowledge of yoga, which has been there for centuries from India. So just dwell upon the holy science a little bit, because this book introduced some very revolutionary idea. And for the first time, he broke the Hindu tradition in stating that the earth is no longer in the Kali Yuga. We are already in the Dwapara Yuga. Now what he also goes to explain, see, in our Hindu tradition, Kali Yuga, we are still supposed to be living in Kali Yuga, and that spreads for some 4,32,000 years. He says no. Kali Yuga is about 1200 years and we have crossed Kali Yuga. The way the planetary system is set up is, we have the earth, we have the moon, which is all revolving around the sun. There are planets which are revolving around the sun. There is the sun which is also revolving. There is a revolution and a rotation. Now, there is the dual sun, which is what he says, that the sun is also revolving around a dual sun. And what happens is, an entire cycle takes about 24,000 years. Now, at a midpoint of 12,000 years, the planetary positions are such that our mental faculties are very receptive to the spiritual realm. And there is a position of the planet which is the furthest, which is the Kali Yuga, where we are so grossly entangled in the material aspect of life. Now what he says, and this is a science, and slowly, this is what he says, the sun takes a star for its dual and revolves around it in a period of 24,000 years. And in this, the various yugas are established. You have the Kali Yuga, you have the Dwapara Yuga, you have the Satya Yuga, and you have the Treta Yuga, all spread over this 24,000 years. At the time of Kali Yuga, the mind is, because of the planetary position, the mind is totally engrossed into the materialistic realm. And at the other side, the mind is open to the spiritual realm. It's the position of the equinox actually. So he says this accounts for the precision of the equinox. And research into this theory, this being a big research being conducted by Binary Research Institute, which produced a documentary on the topic The Great Year by James Earl Jones. And there is an Apple iPhone application for calculating Sri Yukteswar Ji's calculations, just as there are calculators for currencies, lengths, etc. So this is a marvelous thing which he introduced. And you must appreciate that when he wrote this book in 1894, technology was not that evolved. Technology was evolving. And this information, which he has got, has actually been ratified by other scientists much later on also. Again, this is another interesting thing. The theory of the sun's binary companion, that is the dual sun, which he has mentioned in the Holy Science, has attracted attention of David Frawley, who has written about this in several of his books. According to Frawley, this theory offers a better estimate of age of Rama and Krishna, where our people feel that they are millions of years ago. He says no, they are not that millions of years ago. And this is being scientifically established. This is what Swami Yukteswar Giri has to say. All creation is governed by law. The principles that operate in the outer universe, discoverable by scientists, are called natural laws. So many of them: gravitation, electromagnetic, theory of relativity. But there are subtler laws that rules the hidden spiritual planes and the inner realm of consciousness. These principles are known through yoga. It is not the physicist, but the self-realized master who comprehends the true nature of matter. In a deep state of meditation, one can experience the oneness with matter. One can experience that there is something within you and something within that which is very same. That space, that spaciousness. And he also gives an example. By such knowledge, Christ was able to restore the servants here after it had been severed by one of the disciples. See, Judas betrayed Jesus Christ, and there was a point of time where a lot of people came, to take him away. And then one of Jesus Christ's disciple, in anger, he cut the ear of one of those people. Jesus, by just touching, he could heal that. Now what Yukteswar Giri is trying to say, that he could do that because he had that yogic powers, or he had that he had that knowledge to heal that person. And lastly, he concludes the Holy Science by saying, taking a verse from the third canto, the lay of the last minstrel of what is called. He says, love rules the court, the camp, the grove, the men below, the saints above, for love is heaven and heaven is love. And he says love is everything. Love is God, and God is love. It's just not a phrase. That is the truth. But that truth has to be experienced by us. And that truth comes in deep meditation. Paramahamsa Yogananda was his foremost disciple. And he loved his guru. And he said, Sri Yukteswar was reserved and matter of fact in demeanor. His feet was firm on the ground, his head in the heaven of heaven. That means he was a very grounded man. He was not a superstitious man. He would admire people who would talk with reason, who would talk with logic. He says, don't keep your logic. Don't do away with the logic. He would admire those kind of people. And he also fitted the very definition of a man of God. Softer than a flower, where kindness is concerned. Stronger than thunder, where principle is. In 1917, Paramahamsa Yogananda, under the instruction of Swami Yukteswar Giri, he undertook organizational work for sharing the teachings he received. And this was what to become the Yogoda Satsang Society of India, and it's there all over India. In 1920, Sri Yukteswar sent Paramahamsa to Yogananda to USA to carry out a mission which was spoken by Mahavatar Babaji to make available to truth seekers throughout the world a knowledge of the liberating science, Kriya Yoga. So, Kriya Yoga became famous world over after Yogananda took it to the US. And this was to become the Self-Realization Fellowship, which is an international society with headquarters in Los Angeles. Kriya Yoga became widely known because of Sri Lahiri Mahashaya. And Lahiri Mahashaya was a direct disciple of Mahavatar Babaji. There were many direct disciples of Lahiri Mahashaya, of Mahavatar Babaji. Lahiri Mahashaya was one of the most prominent, and through him he learned the complete basics of Kriya Yoga, and he started teaching that to a lot of people. One of them, of course, was Sri Yukteswar Giri. A yogi who faithfully practices the technique is gradually freed from karma. That's what Kriya Yoga does. It's a form of yoga. It's yoga only. It should be learned from an authorized Kriyaban, basically a Kriya Yogi of Yogoda Satsang Society or the Self-Realization Fellowship. It's a simple psychophysiological method by which the human blood is decarbonized and recharged with oxygen. So it's a deep form of pranayama also. So what happens in pranayama? We are just not taking in oxygen. We are taking in vitality. We are taking in prana. That's why it's called pranayama. And by a process of inhalation and exhalation, this process of decarbonization and recharging our system takes place. A lot of people like Elijah, Jesus, Kabir, and many prophets were past masters in the use of Kriya or a similar technique, they would have called it something different, by which they could cause their bodies to materialize and dematerialize. A yogi of that level, he could be there at 2 or 3 different places. A very advanced yogi, and they could do that. Kriya Yoga is mentioned twice by Seth Patanjali, who wrote, Kriya Yoga consists of body discipline, mental control, and meditation on Om. And whatever I have written about the science of Kriya Yoga, I have actually taken from Sri Paramahamsa Yogananda's book, Autobiography of a Yogi. So any one of you have read that book?
It's a very beautiful. You have read that book? Yeah. I've taken these excerpts are from that book. It's one of the most beautiful spiritual classics, you can say, and where you see how Yogananda, as a small boy, develops into such a such a spiritual powerhouse, and from where this strength comes from. And he says, this is available to everybody. Everybody can be that. And in Yukteswar's own words, he says, Kriya Yoga is an instrument through which the human evolution can be quickened. It's a very, very powerful statement, because the way we are living, if you can see, you open the news channel, you have conflicts, you have violence, you have so much of suffering. So when he talks of human evolution, he talks of elevation from suffering, going away from suffering. The ancient yogis discovered that the secret of cosmic consciousness is intimately linked with breath mastery. If you can master your breath, you can really master. You can really become a real master. You can really become totally conscious. This is India's unique and deathless contribution to the world's treasury of knowledge. The life force, which is ordinarily absorbed in maintaining the heart action, must be freed for higher activities by a method of calming and stilling the ceaseless demands of the breath. The mind is always wanting more and more and more. We are never able to control the mind. We are always controlled by the mind. See? Instead of us controlling the mind, we are controlled by the mind. And then we think we are that mind. We are in that prison of the mind. How to come out of that prison? That's what in our meditation also, if you see, when we are doing in the morning, so we say you watch your breath. Dr. Newton says, you watch your breath. It's a long breath, watch the long breath. It's a short breath, watch the short breath. Now what is important is the watching. You watch, you watch, you watch. And as you watch, you will realize that actually you are the watcher. The mind is a beautiful instrument, but the instrument is using us. And this is what, they are saying, Yukteswar and Yogananda. By using Kriya Yoga, we can transcend the mind. And only when you can transcend the mind, can you really be a total conscious individual. A year before, Yukteswar knew that his days are numbered, and so he called Paramahansa Yogananda from the US. You come back, come to India because my days are numbered. And after he comes to India, Yukteswar Giri enters Mahasamadhi. That happened in 1956. And Paramahansa Yogananda was very, very sad. He grieved the loss. It was natural because he loved his Guru. And even though he himself was a great yogi, still he was overwhelmed with grief. And he started making his preparations to go to the US. And then in his room at night, Yukteswar Swami comes in a resurrected form. And he cannot believe it. That's what he says. He appears to him as Yukteswar, as a resurrected. Because he is a Kriya Yogi, he could do that. Something like Jesus Christ who comes resurrected as an individual. And it's just not that he is seeing an apparition. He is seeing the person as if he is in flesh and blood. So he has written a very beautiful detailed chapter on this in Autobiography of a Yogi. And that's one of the must-read books for any spiritual seeker, because he has talked of many things. And this, he has dedicated one chapter to that. The very beautifully described event that somebody was gone and he is crying and he comes in front of him that, why are you crying? He's asking. So it's a very beautiful chapter. And he goes on to say, Yukteswar tells him, I have now told you, Yogananda, the truths of my life, death and resurrection. Okay? Very, very powerful statement. Grieve not for me. Don't grieve. Rather broadcast everywhere the story of my resurrection. New hope will be infused into the hearts of misery-mad, death-fearing dreamers of the world. What he is really trying to say, but many people are skeptical. They will say this never happened, whatever it is. The real message is death is an illusion. Death is an illusion. So Yogananda describes his final, divine experience with Yukteswar Giri as by his life and imparting of his wisdom, and by his death and glorious demonstration of his resurrection. The great Jnanavatar, he used to call him Jnanavatar because he was a fountain of knowledge. The great Jnanavatar bequeaths to all humanity a sublime vision of mankind's inherent divinity as immortal children of one God. So, the Yukteswar Giri was a living proof that we are all one. And that is the message, he has tried to propagate. That is the message, which he has tried to establish through Kriya Yoga, through the various, centers. So one of our most beautiful masters.
According to Yukteswar Giri, what are the characteristics of this Kali Yuga?
Kali Yuga, okay. See, in that Yuga, the maximum of destruction, the maximum of violence, the maximum of all negativities have taken place. Because people have behaved in a helpless way. So, and even in that Yuga, this is the message of Swami Yukteswar is, even in that Yuga where conditions are very challenging, where conditions force you to be violent, where conditions force you to be correct, if you are meditative in nature, if you are loving in nature, which you can inculcate, which you can develop by doing Kriya Yoga, by doing yoga, by following any other proper meditation techniques, you can come out of that. You can see the violence, you can see the, the meaninglessness which is there. We can see that in today's news. You switch on the news, it's so disturbing.
Most of them are lies.
Most of them are lies, and what also happens is, if you listen to the news, after some time, that vibration pulls you into its negativity. And before you realize, you are into it. But if you are meditative, if you are watchful, you will say, no, watch.
Just now we are watching all those treaties and all that stuff, but if it is the Dwapara Yuga, maybe the Kali Yuga already ended according to this cycle,
See,
24,000.
what he's trying to say, this is a very powerful scientific fact which he has tried to establish, and there are other people also who have worked on that. The number of years varies. He's saying 24,000, somebody is saying 26, but that's the thing. What he's saying is, we are coming out of that, and this is the process of evolution. Again it will come, but again when it comes, we will be, we as a humanity, as a whole, would have realized through our lessons, would have grown that much to handle that. See, for example, it is easy to conduct ourselves when everything is easy. Like you are here, everybody is peaceful. Okay, so it's very easy. But the same level of easiness is not there, let us say, in politics. Politics also, there are many good developments have taken place. Or let us say when two religions fight with each other. When Hindus fight with Muslims or Muslims fight with Christians. Because if you see all the wars that has happened, they have all been religious wars. And what does they say? My truth is the truth, your truth is a lie. Basic thing, all world wars. And today what is the world? We are having a world war also in the form of terrorism. What is it that is happening is, these people are so identified with a bunch of thoughts that they think it is truth. And anybody who is disagreeing to that, they treat them as an enemy. Now if you just sit back and watch, you say, no, it's just a thought. And it is for us to come out of that thought. Yes, he is thinking that way, but there is no need to kill somebody to prove that this thought is true. And truth need not be proved. So, yeah, this is it. The conditions can be bad. But we have within us that divinity to come out of that condition, to transcend that condition. Now that is his message. So fine, it's a very short presentation, but I mostly focused on the holy science. Well, I would recommend all of you to read these two books, The Autobiography of a Yogi, which is really a spiritual classic, and The Holy Science, because The Holy Science was written in 1894, where he has said what the Vedas have said, and where he has said what the Bible has said, and they mean the same thing. See, they are not different. It is not that our Veda is superior and that Bible is inferior, nothing like that. They are all the same. The truth cannot be different. He has taken the sutras, explained what the sutra says, and he has taken the quotes from the Bible, and they are practically the same. And that's what happens, like we say Aham Brahmasam. Aham Brahmasam means I am Brahma. And Mansoor, he was a Sufi mystic. And he said Anahal Haq, right? Same thing, it means the same thing, and he was beheaded. Because Muslims said, other than Allah there is no God. And he said, I am God. And that is sacrilege. So he was beheaded. Now, all these things mean the same. That divine is nowhere, it's not outside, he is inside. And that's what he also spoke of, evolution and involution. So that's why I am saying this is a very, very powerful book. It will take me a little more time to understand the full depth. I just could, pick up some words, and you really have to go into it and you have to meditate over it. So powerful, this book. This Holy Science. Other book which I would strongly recommend is Autobiography of a Yogi, because that is a spiritual classic. And coming from India, and he has spread that, that practice in the US. And now today, 21st of June is also celebrated all over the world as International Yoga Day. So what does it all say? It says that in spite of so many negativities, in spite of so much of corruption, so much of violence, so much of ego, big ego, there are still a lot of good things that are happening. Our people are coming together. Apparently the news will only report the fight. The news will only report the bad things. Good things, are boring. So they don't get reported. And there is this consciousness level which is rising and which started rising around that time. When he spoke, when he wrote this book, Holy Science in 1894, he said already 194 years have gone that Kali Yuga has gone. He said that with an authority. And just imagine, at that point of time, we are not technologically that advanced. But how did he know that? Is that not something which we need to think about? How did he know? And he is not bluffing. And today people are establishing it, yes. Okay, maybe 1,000 years here and there, that's a different story. But what he says is true. And he says that also, that as a physicist you can go deep into matter. But as a yogi, you can see matter in a different way. You can see the divine in the matter. So we will do...
Fine. You repeat the name of the book.
The Holy Science.
The Holy Science.
One is the Holy Science, and the other one is autobiography. You just Google it, you will get it. A very tiny book, in fact it costs 75 rupees. And you might have to read it
Multiple times.
quite a few times. The first time you know that this is something which we have to imbibe. And it is the concept part. The other part which is more important is the experience part, which is the Kriya Yoga. And that you have to learn from a Kriyavan or people who teach Kriya Yoga. Of course, a lot of things are similar, like Anulom Vilom, and you sit and watch the breath. And as you watch the breath, you can feel the energy at the Muladhara coming up. So these are matters of experience, and which has to be practiced. It cannot be. So that is also very important. These two things are his contribution, I would say, one of the greatest contributions from India. India is seen as, cannot be described, but these things have such a tremendous value that you cannot put a number to it. Okay? Anything? You missed it? Doesn't matter.
This book is written by Sri
Yukteswar, Swami Yukteswar Giri. So, to me, one of the most, I would say, powerful statement he made in this book, he said, we are not in Kali Yuga. Yes. Our Hindu scriptures have said that Kali Yuga is going to last for 4,32,000 years, and there is a calculation, I forget that, 12 into 108 into 360 or something like that. There is a big calculation for that. He said no, it is 1200 years, rather it is 1000 years and 100 and 100. That makes it 100 before Kali Yuga, 1000 years and 100 after. After that, Dwapara Yuga, and this goes, there is a cycle. One cycle goes 12,000, another cycle 12,000, the full cycle is 24,000. And the sun also revolves around the dual sun. So this thing, this revolution or this natural law, there is a point which is called the equinox, where the number of hours in the day and night are same. And at that point of time, the sun is either furthest from its dual sun or closest to its dual sun. When it is closest, your mental faculties are very receptive to the inner core. And when it is furthest, which is the Kali Yuga, you are entangled in gross matter. So this was a very, very powerful, powerful statement, powerful expression. And to And to even comprehend that he could say that just from the depths of his meditation is something fantastic, something really, truly great. And there are some other books also, like The Flower of Life. I don't know the name of the author. He has also talked about this cycle, sun cycle. And he has mentioned, he is a Czechoslovakian author. They talk of the Merkaba. They talk of sacred geometry. Means everything in life has a geometry, and that's a sacred geometry. He has also said Sri Yukteswar was right, not 100% in terms of years, and even though the Hindus have believed that the Kali Yuga stretches for so many lakh years, they are not right. So that's fine, it's a belief. Still a lot of people believe that we are in the Kali Yuga. So this was a revelation.
హలో ఫ్రెండ్స్, పిఎంసి ఆన్లైన్ని సబ్స్క్రైబ్ చేసుకోండి. సరికొత్త అప్డేట్స్ కోసం బెల్ బటన్ని నొక్కండి.